I'm Curt Frye. In this movie, I want to show you how to add match day constraints to the Sports League scheduling module that we have created. The sample file I'm using is called Match Day Constraints, and you can download it using the link that I provide in the video description below. So far, we have created a schedule for our 12-team league, and I see it all the way over here on the right. And we're looking at columns AL through AW. And what we did in the last movie was to ensure that clubs didn't play each other too close together in the schedule. And we had a minimum, I believe, of 7 weeks. So if I scroll back over, yep, I see that the minimum match gap, which is listed here in AF19, is 7. I want to add an additional complication, and that is to assume that certain clubs have to play either home or away on specific days. So in other words, the pitch might not be available on, say, match day 7 for one club, and another club would be having a special event, say around the winter break on match day 19, and so they would definitely want to play at home. So you can either have a 1 for them playing at home or a 0 for them playing away. So let's see how to implement that. The way that I choose to do it is to go over to the home match tracking grid. And in this workbook that's here, going from column C to column N, I have the label home matches here. We also count away matches below, but if you set a home match to 1, then that means that the away match for that same day would have to be 0. So we only need to do this once. So I'm going to pick some dates that need to be either a 1 or a 0. And I won't be making that change here. I'll just be identifying the cells. And I will use the same color of blue that I use here for the maximum streak. So let's see. I will do cell C32. So C32. I will make that blue. I already had the background color or the fill color set to blue. If yours isn't, then you can click the down arrow beside the color picker and then fill it in as desired. So there's that. And then let's see, K32. So the same row. Make sure I have that. Yep. Make that blue. Then I35. Yep, that's the right one. Make it blue. I36. Make that blue as well. Then F45. So I've got F, and I think that's 44, 45. Make that blue. And then J45. So I'm currently in 45. Just go over to J. Make that blue. And then L44. So I'm in L and up to 44 and make that blue. So now I can set the rules within the solver model to make each of them the required value. And we don't know those values yet. What I will do to keep track of them is to go over to the middle of the worksheet. And then I have a text box indicating that starting in cell AE32, where I can list the values. So the cell for my first restriction would be C32. And then I want that to be a 0. So the club will have to play away on that match day. Then we'll have K32 will have to be 1. Then I35 will be 0. I36 will be 0. F45 will be 1, so that's a home match. Then J45 will be 0. And L44 will be 1. All right. So I have those constraints. And I actually know that I can't have a minimum match gap of 7. That's too much of a constraint. So I'll change the value in AF19 to 6. and that will make it easier for Solver to find a solution. So now I can go into the model and enter in the changes that I need. So I'll go to the Data tab, click Solver. Here is my model, and I will add a series of constraints. So the first cell reference, and I have this written down on a separate piece of paper, so I have 32, C32 will have to be equal to 0. Click Add. Then cell reference K32 will be equal to 1. Add. I35 equal to 0. Add. I36 also equal to 0. Add. F45 equals to 1. So that's home match. And then last two. J45 is equal to 0. Add. And finally, L44 will be equal to 1. And click OK. So just to make sure that I didn't accidentally change anything. So C32, 45, good. And there are no duplicates. Right, so I have the model set up and ready to go. And because this is a fairly complicated model, it is possible that Solver and Excel will crash. So I'm going to save my work, so I'll click Close, and I will press F12 to do Save As, and I will call this Human Readable, because that is the name of the next exercise file. So there's everything here, and I'll go back to Solver, and I will click Solve, and I will come back when it has hopefully found a solution. All right, bad news. Solver could not find a feasible solution, so I will click OK. And what I will do to change that, as the advice in my text box here says, I will change the maximum home streak to 4 and the maximum away streak to 4 as well. And then I will try running Solver again. Actually, I'll close and then press Ctrl-S to save because I'm already in the next file, named Human Readable. Now click Solver, click Solve, and try again. Okay, I am happy to report that we have a solution, so I will click OK. And I will scroll over to the left, and I can check to ensure that these constraints have been met. So I have cell C32, which I said had to be 0, it is. And then K32 had to be a 1, which it is. Then I35, which is here, needed to be a 0, as did I36, so that's correct. And then F45 needed to be a 1. Then J45 had to be a 0. That looks good. And finally, L44 needed to be a 1. And it is. So all of our constraints had to be met. We did have to allow for longer consecutive home match streaks and also away. And if I scroll over here to the right, I see that the maximum is 4, but only one team has 4 home matches in a row, so that's fine. And actually, out of curiosity, let's scroll down and see what the max is. And here we also have a team, only one team with 4 matches away in a row. So it's not an ideal situation, but on the other hand, it's not as bad as it could have been. I encourage you to play around with this file, try adding constraints, for example, for specific match days that need to be either home or away, and see how that affects what you need to do with the minimum match gap and also the maximum number of home and away matches that a club can play in a row. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it and subscribe to my channel.